This episode of the Rock and a Hard Place podcast is brought to you by Tweaked Audio at tweakedaudio.com. Loads of styles, loads of colors to choose from. Use the code HARDPLACE for 33% off of your order. That's tweakedaudio.com.
This is the Rock and a Hard Place podcast.
I'd sit this one out, Cap.
I don't see how I can.
These guys come from legend. They're basically gods.
There's only one God, man. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
Let's not stand on ceremony here.
And now, here are your hosts, Chris Cougar and Paul Gibson.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing tonight? My name is Chris. I am one of the hosts of this here podcast, and joining me, well, I can't say as always because you do abandon me sometimes, but most of the time it's this other guy, Paul Gibson. He's making weird faces at me now. What's going on, Paul?
I'm just bringing the snark since you're already bringing the smack, you jerk. But that's okay because Golden State lost, so there's not a whole lot you can say.
No. Well, it's a good thing I'm not a basketball fan because otherwise I'd be really upset with those comments, but
This is true.
Okay. Yeah, I rooted for the local team because they're the local team, and yay Warriors, and it's over now, and Cleveland's the champ. So that's how I feel. Now, you want to go into baseball, we can, Giants are doing well. It's all good. Everything's happy. But we just have to wait and see how that's all going to play out.
Cool.
Let's see here. So we missed out last week because some freak storm blew through your neighborhood and knocked your power out. How long was your power out for?
About 3.5 hours.
Really?
It came on like 10 till 8 my time. So it would have come back on just in time for us to do something, but I wouldn't have been prepared at all.
Yeah, it's best at that point to just say, you know what, it's okay. And actually, it ended up being all right. My wife and kids were flying out the next afternoon to go to Idaho, where they still are right now. And then, so it gave us an opportunity to spend kind of one last night together as a family, doing some stuff, playing games and that kind of stuff before they took off to abandon me for a week. They left on Thursday. My 16th wedding anniversary was Friday. My wife was gone for, and then Father's Day was on Sunday, and they were out of town as well. I kept telling people, "Oh, it's the best Father's Day present ever." Just days away from the children.
The quiet.
Oh my goodness. I'm getting caught up on all the shows and movies that I've wanted to watch that I haven't been able to because I can't get 5 minutes of peace. And it's given me time to go through and take my DVD collection and rip it into digital files so that I can get in there and utilize those. So it's been very nice. The wife's been texting me. Everybody's good. Nobody's been seriously injured, so that's always good when you're talking about playing with cousins that you don't get to see very often. Sometimes, the little fights break out and all of that good stuff. So, but everybody's well, so they come home tomorrow and my peaceful rest ends.
So what has been the favorite thing that you've caught up on as far as like shows or movies or whatever?
Oh my goodness. Well, I finally got caught up on all of my Deadliest Catch.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I dig that show big time. And the show that I've watched, I think it's on AMC. It's called Hell on Wheels.
I know about it, but I haven't watched it yet.
Railroad, Old West railroad type thing. Really good show. Really good show. And so that actually came back. So I got to watch the first couple episodes of that. So
nice.
Digging on it. And then I had a guys movie night. If you would have been in town, I would have invited you over. But we watched Guardians of the Galaxy and The Last Starfighter.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Last Starfighter. That's an interesting movie.
Yeah. Well, I had a kid. There was a guy here who's, I don't know, he's probably like 10 or 12 years younger than me. He'd never seen it. So he was ragging on it the whole time. Oh my goodness, I can't believe the quality of the graphics in this movie. And I'm like, this movie came out in like 1987 or something like that. I mean, honestly, this was high tech at the time that movie came out. So, it would flip back between like cartoon and live action. So when they're showing like the rocket ships and stuff, it's all like cartoon battles, video game. Think of Tron in some of the, some of that way. It was ahead of its time, but now it's way behind the times.
Of course, the best part is getting to see the dude very, very young.
Yes, absolutely. Good movie. Let's see. Hey, let's see now. There's not a lot going on this week, so we could have actually not done a show just because there's not a whole lot happening. You posted this video. I think it was you posted a video from Disciple that said that they were going to be coming out with some kind of an announcement. I thought they were going to announce a cruise.
Well, naturally.
Kirk thought that they were going to disband and come back as a Petra tribute band.
Nice.
But they were supposed to announce all that stuff today. What did they say? What happened?
Well, I didn't watch the whole thing because I was watching while I was doing something else, and the something else ended, and I was like, well, I have no more time now. So they basically came on and were like, so we said that we were going to make an announcement. We were, but the way it all turns out is we're not going to do that because we made the announcement that there was going to be an announcement. And then in like the 24 hours since, a ton of stuff has happened that we did not see coming at all. And because of that ton of other stuff, which is all good stuff, mind you, we're not going to make the announcement because we would like to make the announcement bigger and tell you all of this stuff at once. So instead of announcing what we were going to, we're just going to play some like clips of some of the new songs that are currently in production. So they were hanging out at Aaron Sprinkle's studio, which I believe is in Franklin, which is just down the street. So they played like a couple of clips. I only heard a clip of the first one, which was a ballad, before I ran out of time. And it sounded pretty good. I mean, It didn't sound like a big departure or anything, but it was, Kevin's always good. They tend to have good ballads. So, yeah.
Did you see the video going around on Facebook of him screaming?
Yes, that was funny.
Wow. I thought the veins on his forehead were going to burst in the process of filming that.
Felt like they were.
Oh, man. That was insane. So, all right. So, Disciple made an announcement to announce absolutely nothing. So that's really, really interesting. But I guess now we just have to wait and see what the actual announcement will end up being. And hopefully they'll tell us, well, we were just going to say this, but now we can say this and all of this on top. That would be the hope, I would think.
Yeah. The thing that they said was basically like, it'll be worth the wait. Everything's going to be much bigger than we thought. And this is they kind of alluded it was going to be like some of the best news ever. So I have no clue. I mean, I can only think that means that they're going to be either that maybe they were going to announce a new record, which obviously they're working on. I mean, that's not, that part isn't a secret. But I assume they were going to announce like a crowdfunder of some sort. And the fact that they were working on a new record, which that part is not really a secret. The only thing I can figure is maybe they just finally got solidified like a guest vocalist and they're wanting to work through contracts with that. Or maybe they're going to jump on a tour that's going to be really cool.
It's possible.
I don't know.
Or maybe maybe independent's not what they wanted to do, and maybe somebody offered them a really nice label deal that they weren't expecting too.
Also possible. That's true.
All conjecture.
I think I got the impression it was going to be like another week or so before they could make the full announcement, but I could be wrong.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll have something to talk about next week with that then.
Right.
Apparently number one Guns Jeff Schneeweiss, which I think that's how you say it. He's got a new pop album under the name Lael, Lael, and it's called Clarity, and I guess it hit yesterday. So if you are a number one Gun fan, you may want to take a listen. Now, realize that it probably doesn't sound anything like number one Gun, because I've never really considered them that poppy.
Right.
But Lael, Lael. I want to say it with an accent. Lael.
Lael.
Lael. It just doesn't that just kind of sounds southern, doesn't it? I mean,
it's an ale with an ale after it.
Right. I'll see you in a little while.
It does. So yeah, I feel you. Now, see, my hopes for it is I've seen that it's out, but I haven't gotten a chance to stream it yet because for whatever reason my computer's have a very tenuous relationship with Spotify, and it never feels like it works quite like it's supposed to with any of my machines. So I was trying to click over to listen to it, and then I got bogged down and went on to something else.
It's amazing.
Like, okay, well, whatever.
It's amazing when that happens, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, but my hopes for it is that it'll sound like the song "Follow Where You Lead," which was like a single that he released as himself.
Right.
That's on Noise Trade, which, by the way, is really good. It reminds me a lot of some of the stuff that gets played on alternative radio right now that I think is quite dandy. And I think he considered that pop too. So if it's anywhere near that, I'm going to be on board.
Yeah,
so
you'll be quite all right with that, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Good deal. Chris in the chat room says it's kind of like the third Number One Gun album that he did without the rest of the band, which he had actually intended to do as a solo project. But the label said, well, you still owe us an album, so why don't you get permission from the rest of the guys and see if you can just release it as Number One Gun? I think that was The Secrets and Knowledge, was that album.
Could be, but they've released one more as Number One Gun since then that was like way later.
Right. There was one that they actually got together and did part of, because shortly after To Secrets and Knowledge came out, they actually did some tours playing some of the songs off of that. And so that's what this was. So Jeff had done it on his own, but then they said, why don't you put this out under the Number One Gun name? He contacted the rest of the band members and they said, we're fine with that. Whatever works.
Yeah.
So, and then, yeah. So now, cool. So he obviously decided to do this on his own. We heard today that Project 86 is in the process of getting ready to launch a crowdfunding for their 10th studio album, and more info to come on that as details are made. I did see that Andrew said something to the effect of they have a lot of classic merch.
Yeah, and I think maybe like some stage props and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Various things that has history to it, which is cool.
Random kind of things that they're going to be adding in. So that is very cool. And our good friend Garrett Godfrey has some info for us on another crowdfunding campaign that we might be interested in. So check this out.
Hi, I'm Garrett Godfrey from the Crowdfunding Christian Music Podcast with a heads up about a current Kickstarter campaign. A couple weeks ago, I mentioned Starflyer 59, who go back over 20 years in the music scene. This week, we're going even further back. If you listen to Christian rock or alternative Christian music back in the 80s and 90s, you might recognize the name Reality Rock. That was the Christian rock show that John Smebby hosted for 15 years, and he was behind the Rock of Love concert events back then. John has been a photographer now for a number of years, and he's got a Kickstarter campaign for an art book combining lyrics from those great songs with nature and abstract photographs he's been taking. His campaign video has a great explanation of the project, and while he hasn't revealed the full list of artists or songs he'll cover, he has been posting quite a few on Facebook, and they include Mortal, Mad at the World, Crumbacher, Undercover, The Violet Burning, The 77s, The Altar Boys, The Choir, The Prayer Chain, Mike Stan, The Lost Dogs, Adam Again, Steve Taylor, and Charlie Peacock. His campaign goal is $4,000, and he's about 80% there, and he still has a week left. This campaign closes the morning of July 1st. $30 gets you a signed hardcover copy of the book, and there are more reward levels available. If you or someone you know was into Christian rock or alternative music back then, be sure to check out this campaign. And if that's before your time, or you just don't recognize any of these bands, that's okay. I've created a YouTube playlist for all the songs he's mentioned on Facebook, and then I just kind of got excited and added a bunch of others that I loved from the era to sort of round things out. Skip through it, check out the music, then head over to Kickstarter and search for Fusion Art, all one word, FUSIONART. Or the links for all of this will be in the show notes.
And he actually did send me the links to be able to put them in the show notes. So thank you, Garrett. Appreciate that. Man, he's so much more on the ball with this stuff than I am. I'm such a lazy planner when it comes to this kind of stuff. So appreciate that he did all that heavy lifting for me so I can just copy and paste. It's a beautiful thing. Let's see here. So he mentioned Dogs of Peace. Mm-hmm. Now, Kirk actually got the new Dogs of Peace album, and that's what he did his other stuff on. So let's just go ahead and dive right into that. Sound like a plan?
Sounds good.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice. The Dogs of Peace is a collection of producers, songwriters, and studio musicians putting their own stamp on the classic rock sound. Their latest release, Heal, brings a bit more of a 70s prog rock era feel. While tracks like One Flight Away, Friend of the Groom, and Healed have a more traditional classic rock sound, tracks like Sacrifice, Only the Gold, and Light Into the Darkness sound like Yes or early Alan Parsons. And then there's All This for a Piece of Fruit, which sounds like something straight off a Phil Keaggy album. Overall, the album has an interesting mix of classic rock sounds, and lyrically, the album spans the gamut from thought-provoking to almost cheesy but endearing. There is no doubt the talent of this collection of musicians. Heal is only the second album from the Dogs of Peace in 20 years. Yet it is a great follow-up to their first album, Speak. Healed by the Dogs of Peace is available everywhere now. This has been Captain Kirk with The Other Stuff for the Rock and the Hard Place podcast.
All right, so Dogs of Peace. Were you did you ever listen much to the Dogs of Peace when their first album?
Their first album was one that I really wanted to like, but it was kind of during the era when I was going really heavy.
Yeah.
When I was like getting into like death metal and hardcore and all that fun stuff. So I wanted to like them, and I think there was one song off the Speak album that I liked, and the rest of it was just like, I don't really care that much about this. It doesn't bother me. But my brother was a huge, huge fan of the first one.
Okay.
And I think he mostly does most of his music listening on Spotify, so I think he's heard the new one and he really liked it.
Gotcha. Good deal. Well, there's just not much else to talk about. Like, what is going on? I mean, Thousand Foot Crutch, their new album came out. It's awesome. I don't know if you've listened to it yet.
It's really good. I like it.
It is really good. I enjoyed it. I know you had Trevor on, or you're having Trevor on this week for your show. So that's always good. When did you do that?
The new baby.
That was
I interviewed him before.
Okay, same as us.
Yeah,
gotcha. Okay, and he had the baby on my anniversary
and on the release date of the record.
Right. Which it's funny because we actually joked about that in the interview or before the interview. Yeah. He said the album was due out on the 17th and his baby was due on the 17th. And I said, well, that's my wedding anniversary also. And he's like, man, 17th is going to be a great day if all that comes together. Little did we know, it actually did come together. So,
which is funny because I think only 5% of babies are actually born on the due date.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, my little Hannah was like 6 weeks early. So... Yeah. I mean, you just never know. You just never know. If you're having twins, you can almost be assured that they're never going to go to term.
Right.
But all other babies, it's just I got a friend of mine who their kids are consistently a week to 2 weeks late. So that's pretty normal. Okay. Chris in the chat said something that triggered something that I wanted to ask you about. I did not have an opportunity to listen to the interview that you did with Sherwood. But I want to talk, you sent out an email,
right? Like
totally covering your butt just in case somebody somewhere said something. But apparently there's like a little Scott Stapp moment or a POD moment on Sherwood's new album. What's the story?
Well, it depends. Do you want me to actually, I mean, I know that we've probably been there before. Do you want me to say the word?
I'll leave that up to you. If you think our listeners can handle it, then...
Okay, well, here's the deal. I'm going to go ahead and say it because my plans are to exclusively release the unedited version of the interview on our podcast stream on iTunes. So I'll send it to you later.
Okay.
It's much more extensive. The interview that aired on the show only was able to be about like 18 minutes long, and
Right.
the interview itself is like 35 minutes.
Okay.
The guy from Sherwood is also half of the Don't Feed the Trolls podcast with Matt
McDonald.
Yeah.
Yes.
So a lot of you guys probably know him without really knowing him if you listen to that podcast. And if you do already, and then you listen to the interview I did with him, you will have absolutely totally no surprise coming in the fact that he really hates Christian music. So a lot of the interview was cut for that because I mean I think he can probably count on one hand how many Christian bands he likes. Or
Right.
appreciates.
Well, it
just
sounds like
seems
Josh
that
from
way.
Raven Hill. I mean, Josh is pretty
Yeah.
much the same way when it comes to that stuff. You know, he's not a big fan of just about anything that's labeled as Christian rock. So
Right. And in all fairness, Sherwood was not a Christian band. Both he and one of the other founding members were Christians, and they even went to a decent amount of Christian shows, grew up listening to stuff on Tooth and Nail and all that. But they had the foresight to say, okay, well, we're getting popular enough to where we probably need to very quickly decide whether or not we are or not a Christian band. And they said, okay, this feels like there's a lot of just trouble waiting to happen.
Right.
So let's just not ever say that we are. And that was fine. They even toured with other Christian bands, and it was never a big deal. They never got stamped with that label. And as I understand it, all their music was pretty friendly. I mean, it's pop rock. It's not anything aggressive or bad sounding. I don't know if any of their other previous records had profanity or not, but the very last song on this record has the word damn in it about at least 3 or 4 times because it's part of the chorus. But the whole idea, and ironically enough, the song is about not putting up walls or boundaries, I think, creatively, especially within music. And and which is funny because that's the one song on there that's likely to bite them and put up walls and boundaries, is that song, or rather people's reaction to it. And I only heard back from 3 stations about the interview about whether or not they were going to play it or not play it.
Okay.
There was one station that is a mainstream station that's internet only that was like, sure, we'll play it. Why in the world would that ever be a problem? And then another station said, you know, parents of adolescent listeners don't give us money anyway, so sure, why not? Maybe we'll add it into rotation. And then then the third option, which was it ran the full spectrum of what I expected. Then the third option was, we're not going to air it. Jesus said, you know, don't let negative things come out of your mouth. And to me, profanity falls into that category. And that's just a bridge too far. I would appreciate it if you don't put us in this position again, because we're going to have to run an old one now. Thanks.
But it's not like you go into the interview knowing that that's what's
what I said.
going to happen. I mean,
Right. Because I hadn't heard the whole record. I mean, I had the record, but I hadn't listened to all of it in detail. And
Right.
I was like, for what it's worth, I was like, I don't set out to get these interviews. I actually try to avoid, for the most part, something that I know is going to be problematic.
yeah.
And I didn't realize until halfway through the interview that this was going to be a thing.
You
So-
don't dive into interviews looking for controversy. I mean, that's just not how you do things.
No. And it's a station that's aired my show for years and years. So I don't know. But, you know,
Wow.
I kind of get it. I mean, it's frustrating. And you know, it's like he genuinely believed that it was something that was a bad thing. And,
Right.
And just like not to be tolerated. And, you know, it's like, and
Well,
I
but
get
that's
that.
why you give them the warning. That's why you
Right.
take the time to write this email saying, look, there's nothing bad in this, but there is a word on the album. And if somebody buys the album, then they may come back to you and say, why are you supporting this? I mean, you did your due diligence. Of course, we had no problem airing it at all. You know, it just, that's to us, that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Well, and you know, and that's kind of how I felt about it, but I didn't feel like poking the hornet's nest by saying, dude, I don't agree with you, but whatever.
Right.
You know?
Right. Whatevs.
So anyway, but yeah, I mean, it just says the word damn a few times, which, you know, and I knew as soon as the reaction I got from him, I wasn't going to say, it's like, what? It's just damn.
Right.
You know?
Right. You type that back in the email.
Right.
You know, that's all it is. Just that one word.
Yeah. So,
That word. This word.
like, I think that word's in the Bible somewhere.
It's just, yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So anyway, I mean, it's okay. And I mean, he was an interesting person to talk to. I kind of smiled and nodded a little bit more than I might with the normal person that I interviewed, just because, number one, I've never interviewed him before, and two, I think he's a very musically intelligent person, and my musical intelligence revolves around, well, this is catchy, I like it. This one is not catchy, I don't like it. I'm not a very technical musical person, so I was like, a lot of it was stuff of like, well, you can tell a Christian song from a mile away just because of the way it's produced, and it's always these chords. A lot of that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, well, yeah, I get it, but
yeah,
it's kind of fun and I can hum it, So, what are you going to do? So.
That's insane. I mean, I don't know. I get why some bands would be put off by it, I suppose. Some stations, that is, would be put off by it, I suppose. But I don't know. There's things that I'm like willing. There's hills that I'm willing to die on for some of this stuff, and there's other hills that it's just like, really, is it that big of a deal for that one little thing? I mean, are you gonna hear more walking down the street than you are in that particular song? And then you think about, okay, what's the context of the song? There's just, I don't know, there's lots of things that I think you need to take into consideration.
I've heard more at youth group events than I've heard at that song.
Yeah. Chris says, is it really that bad a word? It was in a Flyleaf song and a few other Christian bands that get airplay. So, yeah, I mean, to some, yes, it's a bad word. Here's...
Well, and that's the irony, is I didn't get flack. I don't think I got pushed back on the POD interview, or on the Scott Stapp interview.
And okay, and the POD interview, he drops not in the interview, but in the POD song, they drop the F-bomb. Now, granted, they backmask it so that you know what it is, but it's not like there in your face. And honestly, with the Scott Stapp, I didn't even hear that in it until you actually pointed that out to me after we'd played the broken record already.
Right.
So
it's I don't know, and I mean, it's all right, and I think I would have taken it slightly even a little better. I do better when people come back and they're like, well, I understand that everybody has a different point of view. Unfortunately, the majority of our listeners' points of view is going to be this, and if I choose this hill to die upon, I'm just going to get crucified, and it's not going to be pretty. That I get a whole lot more than just this is wrong, you're wrong, and I don't want to ever hear this again.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, it's like I'm trying here. It's like I'm not going to make a whole new show for you so that you feel better.
Right, exactly. But, oh well, guess what? I have another interview that I haven't aired yet that I'll go ahead and. That I'll just cut up and put in there instead. So let me spend like 2 days recutting this show just for your station.
Yeah, so, and it was okay, and I wasn't offended that he didn't play it. I was I was a little beleaguered that it kind of felt like he was preaching at me about it.
Right, exactly, and don't let it happen again.
Right,
control your artists better, Paul Gibson.
Unfortunately, what I didn't say is, it's like I think this door has been opened enough to where this is going to happen more and more, to where this is going to become a more commonplace problem, and it's either going to get to the point where people are more accepting and a little bit more open-minded about it, or there's going to get to be a really narrow playlist on your average Christian station.
There is, I think there's already a point of accepting it that I am seeing more and more, and there's aspects of the acceptance of it that I really don't agree with. Right. I mean, I hear some people that say they're believers spout off some pretty terrible things.
Yeah.
My stance on it is that I don't see a place for it. If your life has been redeemed, then there should be a better way for you to communicate your thoughts and feelings. For the most part, I've always thought that people that use like the F-bomb a lot and that kind of stuff, they just have a limited vocabulary. They don't take the time to think about what they want to say. And instead of saying, they say F.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have friends that do that too. And I'm just like, come on.
Yeah.
It's not a stutter word.
It's you know. So I see that, but I'm beginning to see that more and more within the faith community, and that concerns me because there's an aspect of it to where I think that we do need to be as much above reproach as we can. Now, there are some words that I am more okay with than others. Damn is a word that I think there are times where it has its proper use.
Yeah.
But I don't think it needs to be in your just everyday conversation 1,000 times. I just that's kind of my take on cursing. I choose not to do it as much as is physically possible. There are those times where something happens and it pops out every once in a while, and okay, I'll deal with that on my own. But for the most part, I think that we should try and be that set apart people and not not be striving to sound like the world when we talk intelligently. It's not that difficult.
Right.
Oh, great. Well, now this show has to have an explicit warning.
This is probably true.
Yeah.
And my thought on it is somewhat similar. And I get there's a big difference between, a band like, this is probably a terrible example, but a band like Limp Bizkit, that just it had songs that just had F in it so many times that it felt stupid and laughable.
Right.
There's a big difference between doing that because, well, it rhymes with everything. And it makes you sound like, well, you're really bad.
Right.
I mean, there's a big difference between doing that and what POD did, where it felt like you could tell that there was a big struggle over it. And it was an artistic choice that he felt like made the difference. And sure, if Limp Bizkit dropped an F-bomb in their song and backmasked it, no one would think a thing about it. It would actually be weird in the other direction. But with POD, it made a very solid point because of where they came from.
Yeah.
And it also helped to me that he thought about it and he prayed about it and he asked, for counsel about it.
Yeah, he got counsel on it. That's another big thing that, I think was important for him before he made that decision. That showed that he really wanted to maintain whatever integrity he could, but he still felt it was necessary for him to be able to throw that in there. And I mean, if you listen to the song and you get the message of the song, you understand more about where that came from as opposed to just being a shock point,
Right.
Because I don't think he did it just for the shock value. Honestly, that's my own take on it. Let me see. So a little more. I don't want to really call it controversy, but I suppose it could be. We had Ronnie from Red Jumpsuit Apparatus actually made a video that he wanted Christian rock stations to play their song Face Down. Now, apparently, this is a song that came out a few years ago before the band had recommitted themselves to doing Christian music. But, here, I'm just going to play the audio. Hopefully this will work. I'm going to play the audio for the video that Ronnie put out and let you guys listen to it and see what you think yourselves.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Ronnie from Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, here to talk to you today about our single Face Down and why I think it should be played on Christian radio. It's been 10 years since we released the song originally, and not a lot of people know this, but right from the beginning, the message was always the most important thing to me. The label that we were with was not willing to submit the song to Christian radio, which is a fact. So we fought really hard to even get this considered, When you look at the charts right now, there's a lot of bands doing really well. I respect most of them, and I know these guys. They're all great bands. But none of them had to fight to be there. This song is already a success. It's been huge. We've had a lot of blessings surrounding the song Face Down, and we've done a lot of good with raising awareness with domestic violence and telling the story of me and my brothers growing up, and my mom was a drug addict, my dad was an alcoholic, and domestic violence was just part of our everyday life. But by the grace of God, things have changed since 10 years ago. My mom prayed to God, to Jesus, to remove that obsession, and she's now 7 years sober, which is an unbelievable miracle. So a lot of things have changed. Over the last 4 or 5 years, we made a lot of moves to show everybody that we cut out all the things that we used to do. I had to let a lot of people go, and We've had a lot of success with Christian radio, and I've been very grateful. And even if this song never gets a chance, I'm still grateful. But the difference between this song, currently on the charts, and everybody else is we had to fight to be here. You know, K-Rock in LA still plays Face Down 4 or 5 times. Stations all over the United States. The one stations that don't play it are Christian rock. Why? Because no matter what I did, I could never get them to submit the song. So we submitted it. And it did well at first, and then Billboard actually told us, no, you can't do this. You can't do this. So we could have walked away. We could have gave up. But I prayed hard about it. My buddy Chris Chicago, he prayed, and we talked about it. And we decided that it wasn't worth letting go. Because even though this song is already known worldwide and is a success, it's known as a worldly song. That's always going to bother me. I'm not willing to give up. I'm willing to try no matter how long it takes. So we went back to Billboard and we told them this isn't fair. It's not fair that a song that was written by a Christian, who's me, who wanted it to go to Christian radio to begin with and never got that opportunity, shouldn't at least get one shot to have it go to Christian radio. So we fought. We could have given up. And we won. They allowed us to stay through the hard work of Chris and my friends at Shamrock Radio. So all I want you to do is take this challenge. Do one quick prayer. Pray to hear God's will. Listen to the song. Then decide for yourself. I hope you play Face Down on Christian radio because that's where it belongs. I hope one day when people look back 20 years from now and they hear the song, they think about it being a Christian song from a Christian band and not the other way around.
All right, Paul. What are your thoughts on that?
Ronnie's a dude that I respect, and I don't always understand. I still don't. And I get kind of what he's going for. However, it's kind of funny because he's fighting the exact opposite battle that everybody else is fighting in Christian rock right now. Everybody else is like, wouldn't it be great if we got played on K-Rock? We're just getting played on Broken FM, and that's awesome.
Right.
But wouldn't it be great if we were on K-Rock? And he's like, yeah, we get played on K-Rock 4 or 5 times a day, and that's great. You know, the album that it's on just went platinum, and that's fantastic. But wouldn't it be great if Christian radio played it? You know, there's like 6 stations in the U.S. that qualify for this. Wouldn't it be great if they all played it and it made its way up the charts? And I'm just going, yes, get it, but at the same time, it doesn't have to chart for stations to play it.
Right.
That's the part that maybe makes me wonder just a tad little bit. And Ronnie, if by some weird happenstance you're listening to this, we've interviewed you once. I thought you were a fantastic guy. I don't completely get you, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome to be different. And you know, I do know that this had to have resonated at some point because the Call FM in Florida spun it like 78 times last week.
Oh,
so
is that
it's now
right?
in the top 5.
Oh, wow.
So you win. And that's great. And I mean, I've played it on the show several times, and now it's charting high enough to where it's just part of the countdown, which is great too.
Yeah.
I still find it very confusing, and I think the one part that's going to haunt you about haunt them about this is that it's there's just so many ways that you can take this, you know, and some of them are good, and some of them are not as good, and you know, it's fine, but it just feels weird to try to rehash a song that did huge. I mean, it was playing on pop radio when I was working in top 40 in Abilene, Texas. And, you know, I mean, it was doing well then. You know, like I said, the album just finally went platinum. It was not a small thing at all. It was a huge song. And I don't know why he cares whether or not people remember it as a Christian song while everyone else is trying to get people to appreciate it just for the music. He's trying to get people to appreciate it in a smaller venue. And I don't think it's ever going to be one of those songs that gets sung as a part of a worship set. I think the most he can possibly hope for this is that maybe it somehow makes it to number 1 on Christian radio, which if other stations jump on board and the Call continues to play it as much as they are, that won't take much. And that would be fine and dandy, and that'd be another feather in your hat. But I don't fully get and understand it, even with the explanation. And yes, I did put up, I was like, hey, I kind of get it now, you know, go for it. You know, it's like, if you like the station, go for it, or like the song, go for it. But I don't know.
Yeah. I haven't heard the song yet, so I don't know.
You're kidding.
No. No. I haven't taken the time. I haven't taken the time to listen to it yet. I saw the video and then I got busy with other things and just and haven't listened to it. I was never a Red Jumpsuit fan. Like I never got into them when they were a mainstream artist. So I'm coming around. Tim and I have interviewed Ronnie, I think twice.
Yeah, that would make sense because that's how many times I've talked to him.
Yeah, and he's a great interview. He's easy to talk to, super low key. Seems like a super nice guy. Like you could sit down and if you drink beer, he'd probably have a beer with you and you could sit and chat about stuff. So he seems very kind, very genuine. I guess I don't see the plea as being as strange as you do. But then when you put it in the perspective of, there's like 6 stations that this is actually going to affect.
I mean, like there's some shows. I mean, there's mine and there's Z-Rock Radio Revolution and like Mad Radio. And then there's a couple of like individual shows on contemporary stations.
Right.
Kind of sort of count. But as far as like Christian rock stations, there's 6 or less. I mean, most of them have flipped to CHR, which, I mean, that's not bad. It's just...
Yes, it
is.
Just
well, okay, fine. So it's bad. It's
very bad.
It's a very narrow market.
Right.
It just is. And I don't know. I mean, it's like saying... To me, it feels like the difference between like, we were told that we sold out a Coliseum, and that's great. But we want to give all those tickets back, and we want to play at a church that seats 20 people because we want people to remember that we played that church that seats 20 people. It's not a special church; it's just a church.
So your big thing is just the weirdness of, okay, so the song was huge in the mainstream crowd, and now all of a sudden you want it to be important to Christians too. But I think his point...
I guess that does make sense. He wants it to be meaningful to people and people to think... I think the best possible thing that I can think of on it is probably what you're getting at, in that he wants people to think about the song as opposed to just, oh, that's kind of a fun song.
Right.
And I mean, to me, that's about as good as it gets. But
yeah. Well, I mean, it's a song about domestic violence.
Right.
Which is an important subject. And obviously there's some substance abuse that's mentioned in the song as well, which hits close to home. Bad choice of words. Sorry about that.
You shouldn't have pointed that out. I wouldn't have even caught that. That's terrible.
Oh, my goodness. That was not good. Right. So it's close to his heart. It's a subject that he has had to deal with. It's... I don't know. There's lots of artists that write sorry, Kirk. There's lots of artists that write songs about things that they deal with or that friends and family have dealt with. I mean, Ronnie has the song. Was it "Remember Me"? I think is the name of the song, and it's this like happy, upbeat, poppy song, and everything's like, wow. And then you start to listen to the lyrics, and you're like, hey, it's me. Pick up the phone. I kind of hope you're not there because I've got nothing to live for and I'm going to go kill myself and it's not your fault. There's something wrong in my head. So just remember all the good times we had and I'll see you later. I mean, and then, so when we talked to Ronnie, he's like, yeah, that actually happened. We were out on tour. We had a friend of ours who called. He was, asking for help and we were in the middle of a show. Nobody had their phones on them. And by the time we got done with the show and heard the messages, he'd already tried. He ended up surviving, but we basically stopped the tour and went home so that we could be with him. I mean, and I'm thinking it's a bit of a weird, happy, peppy song with this deep, dark, heavy message.
It's kind of like every Maroon 5 song except for more serious.
I'm at a payphone. Yeah. So artists are free to express themselves however they want. That's fine. A 10-year-old song coming back and being popular now, kind of remixed a little bit, cleaned up a little bit. I don't have an issue with that. I mean, if a song is good, people will play it. If a song is not good, people won't play it. I guess the only part about the whole thing that I'm just not clear on is why Billboard cares if it was a platinum song in the mainstream market. Why do they care that it can't be on the charts in the Christian market? What difference does that make?
I think it's just setting precedent more than anything. I mean, because it's like the idea of like, you know, it's just take the Christian part out of it. Let's just say it's just something else. You know, let's say a song gets released, it goes platinum. But the thing with Billboard is, at least as far as the song charts, it's after it has been released as a single or been on a chart for so many weeks, then it's no longer in the running. No matter how many plays it's getting, it just automatically goes to a recurrent after a certain set amount of time. The only thing I can figure is that they're like, well, you know, what would happen if a song did really well as a pop song? You know, it hit that expiration date, then they're like, well, we just now realized it's also, you know, a rhythm and blues song. Can we get it on the rhythm and blues charts? You know, and I think that's the only thing I can figure is it just feels like something that, I mean, let's face it, if Stairway to Heaven could still be considered a single in its current version, it would still be charting because of the number of classic rock stations that still exist that still play it 20 times a day.
Right.
You know,
which
and
that in and of itself is mind-boggling to me, but that's beside the point.
Right. I mean, I think it's just the idea of opening a door for everybody saying, well, my song still gets played a lot. Why can't we put it on a different chart and see how it does now? You know, and plus there are so many charts that overlap in some way or another, because you have the pop charts, you have the Heat Seekers charts, you have the Hot AC charts, and half of them are playing the same stuff, but it's just playing to a slightly different audience.
Yeah. Okay.
And I also get where he's going. Like the whole idea was like, well, it was a song written by a Christian, and we wanted it to be played for Christians, and it wasn't our choice as a band to not put it there. And we feel like we had that choice taken away from us. Mm-hmm. We want that choice now. But to me, if it were me personally, I'm not Ronnie. But if it were me, I would say, you know what, that's really a bummer that wasn't a single to Christian radio then, especially since Christian rock radio might have even been bigger at that point than it is now.
You think, I mean, were there that many Christian rock stations 10 years ago to play that? Was there enough music
I think there were more.
Really?
I think so.
Huh.
I really do.
Interesting. Because, I mean, Broken is like 7 years old.
Right.
So,
and I mean, I could be wrong. I just know the number of stations that I tried to contact when I first started the show, which was like 7.5 years ago, that had all gone under like 2 or 3 years earlier.
See, they should have carried your show.
Well, I know. That was the problem. But like all these little small towns, like there was just a ton of little towns that all had a Christian rock radio station in them. And it was just weird. I mean, they didn't have a great web presence. It was very obviously started by somebody who didn't have a ton of money.
Right.
But they kept it going for a long time, and they would have, bands in for shows and all that good stuff. But I think very quickly over the that first 5 years of my show, we saw that steady decline of like Christian pop going higher and Christian hip hop going higher and Christian rock becoming more passé as did mainstream rock. Not saying I dislike it. I love it. But
totally. No, I understand exactly where you're coming from on that. Wow. All right. Well, hey, what are your thoughts out there, listener person? What do you think about this? Do you think Ronnie should have? You think it should be allowed to chart again in the Christian rock, even though it was 10 years ago? Do you think they should just release the song and let it play and forget about the charts? Because I mean, honestly, charting to me doesn't mean a station's not going to play it.
Right.
So it just if you want it more than just a recurrent, I suppose that's one thing.
And that's true.
But yeah. So anyhow, that's I think that'll be interesting to see kind of where it goes. But I want to hear what your thoughts are. So head over to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Rock in a Hard Place podcast, and we'd love to hear what you think about it. So let us know.
Yeah.
Show. Yeah. Okay. Song Blender.
All right, let's do it. I don't have the intro for it.
Yeah,
that's okay.
And you didn't give it to me either, so
sorry. And I thought about sending it to you, but about the time I thought about it, it was like time for us to begin, and then we had the whole mic.
All the audio issues. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the long and the short of the Song Blender is, for those of you who are like, the 0.25% of the people who may actually ever listen to the show, that this will be the first time. We're going to take a small chunk of a song that we know that Chris knows. And we are going to spin it backwards, and then we're going to change the pitch on it. And then if Chris can guess what it is, the game's over. He wins. If he can't guess it, then we will spin it forwards, but
No,
We'll
still keep
spin
it backwards.
without the pitch bend and see how he does with that. And then if he's still a dummy, then we'll play it forwards and laugh at him.
That's right.
And
Laugh hysterically at my stupidity.
Yes.
All right.
So this one's a weird one.
Okay.
But it is a song that you have referenced at least 3 or 4 times on this show, so I know you know it.
Really?
Yes.
All right. Well, here we go.
I love the fact that it sounds like he's saying symphony backwards.
It sounds familiar.
It doesn't sound, well, except for the words, it doesn't sound miraculously different than it does forwards. Now, when you take the pitch bend off, I think it may give it away, but we will see.
Is it My Worldview by Audio Adrenaline?
No, but that would make me sick if you were correct.
All right. So now I'm going to do it without the pitch bend. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. It's like I should know it.
Oh, definitely you should know it. Now, whether anyone else listening to the podcast will know it, when you finally figure out what it is, you're going to be like, oh, I totally know that one.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my favorite song ever. And everyone else is going to be like, what?
What is that? Chris has nothing. Nothing at all? Wow. It's Do Talk. DC Talk. Kirk says it's DC Talk. It does sound a little bit like Kevin Max.
It's Do Talk. I kind of wish there was a band called
Wow, I don't know. I'm completely stumped.
Oh, my day has come.
Yeah, they're rare, but this one is it. Okay, so I'm gonna hit the third one, which is supposed to be forward, no pitch bend.
Correct.
Oh, it was Kevin Max. It did sound like him. Okay, so that is the beat of Louis' solo. Or it's called Louis' Solo. It is off of the album Never Say Dinosaur. And I'm trying to think of the name of the band. Oh my goodness. It's a very interesting name.
For what it's worth, I wasn't actually expecting you to know that part. I was just expecting you to get the song naming Kevin Max. But
let's see. There's one on there called... No, it's not Prodigal.
No, close. It does begin with a P.
Yeah, I know there's on that album. There's a band called Galactic Cowboys. I've never heard anything else that they've ever done. Just that song.
Oh, that's a pity.
Are they good?
Oh, I love the Galactic.
Do ya?
Cowboys.
Okay.
Imagine if Metallica hung out with the Beatles.
Gotcha. Yeah, that wouldn't sell it for me because I'm not a Beatles fan.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, let me rephrase that. If Metallica had harmonies, like. Maybe if Metallica hung out with something like House of Heroes.
Okay. That'd be interesting.
Anyway, I'll send you some stuff there, see what you think.
Okay, cool. Is it Pacifist?
Yay!
Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, and Kirk puts it up there. I did not see that. I swear to you, I did not see it.
You were halfway through the word when it popped up.
Pacifist. Yeah, I never heard anything from them aside from that song either.
Yeah, their kind of main vocalist / songwriter is also one of the people who is in Chagall Guevara with Steve Taylor.
Okay.
That's his major connection to everything else.
Gotcha.
But, yeah.
Very cool.
His stuff's very weird. Very, very weird.
That would
I've got one of their records that's bizarre.
Well, Paul, do you want to do your noise trade picks or do you want to do a would you add it?
Sure, you're gonna have to remind me what's in there because I put full names and song titles, but I don't have my laptop in front of me.
Gotcha. Okay, so we've got Parachute or Overcomers.
Okay, let's do the Parachute one.
Okay.
So Parachute is a band that is on tour on the Tour de Compadres with Need to Breathe and John Mark McMillan and
that was the one that Switchfoot had gotten invited to at one point.
Right. This is like the third version of this tour, yeah.
Okay.
And Matt Kearney. So it's got the four of them on there. There's a tour sampler. So it's the Tour de Compadre sampler. It has 2 Need to Breathe songs on there that are both from their live from the Wild Woods or whatever. It's their last live record.
Okay.
So it's got 2 tracks off of that, and it's got a song by Parachute, one or two from Matt Kearney, and then one from John Mark McMillan. But I figure most people would know what the other bands sound like, and I had never heard Parachute before. And full disclosure, I don't know that Parachute is a Christian band.
Okay.
But considering everybody else on there at least has Christian roots in some form or another, I figured they probably do. So we're going to play a little clip from it. I don't remember the name of the song, so you'll have to talk.
Jenny,
there you go. So this is
if I'm fast enough, I'll finally get to her. But Jenny, come back. You're the one I needed. I still feel you in my arms, and now I know better. There's no going back at all. I was sleeping and I finally woke it up. Yeah.
Now the general beat of it reminds me of a song from the 80s. Da, 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 da.
I was thinking it reminded me a little bit of like a Lionel Richie tune or something like that.
See, I was thinking like Phil Collins.
Yeah, could be.
But yeah, kind of that general era.
But that era, yeah, most definitely. But not a bad song.
I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Kurt does say that he thinks that they might be a mainstream band, which is entirely possible because
There you go.
does travel in mainstream circles as well. So if I have played from a mainstream song on a Christian podcast, I'm very sorry. I'll never do it again. But anyway.
My head's about to explode, Paul. I can't believe you did that to me. First you say damn, and now you play that song. What is wrong with you?
And I made you say it. So anyway.
I'm going to go hide out under there.
Right. So you can grab that one that is probably from a mainstream band along with the other ones that are not.
Exactly.
You can check those out. But anyway, it's a good little, like Kirk said, it's a good compilation, and best of all, it's free and it's on noisetrade.com.
Excellent.
Now the other one I do remember, it's by Overcomer, somebody I feel like I've heard of before, but I've never listened to much. And I don't know if it's just a single person or if it's a group.
Okay.
So I'm not really sure, but it's a hip hop song, and of course, which hymn is it?
I Surrender. I surrender all.
So I think they handled this one pretty well.
Okay.
It kind of reminds me of what KB did with the Oceans, with like the Crown of Thorns or whatever / Oceans.
Okay.
It kind of has that feel of it where he changes the verses up but keeps the chorus. And I thought it was executed pretty well, and it's a single and it's free, so check it out.
And all, you kept me in the game even when I dropped the ball. You see my crooked heart and the sin I fell into it. Love me even when I chose pornography up over you. Lord, you exposed me when I thought that I was fresh to death. Now that you chose me to be holy, put my flesh to death. Forsake it all for the joy of his salvation. No more faking and chasing and faulty promises from Satan. I surrender.
All to Jesus I surrender. Humbly at his feet I bow.
Interesting.
So that's Overcomer, and it's just a single. Now, the thing that I liked about it was I felt like it showed some restraint, because what I really expected was when it got to the end of like the stanza of the chorus where it was like, feet I bow, I kept on expecting him to go, at your feet you bow. And I'm just like, it kind of annoys me when people throw in stuff.
Cannon.
I need this to be more hip-hoppy right here because people might forget that it's a hip-hop song.
Right.
Or like that one from the Peace of Mind album that was really KJ52's rapcore project where he randomly would go, know his love, and I'm like, stop doing that, you're killing the chorus. But, anyway.
Oh, that's awesome.
So Overcomer, it's a good single, and I don't know if he has more stuff, he or the group or whatever have more stuff out, but I really do dig that one, and I think I'm going to be listening to it again.
Cool. All right. Well, that's awesome. I was lazy. I don't have a would you add it.
That's okay.
So let's talk about our sponsor real quick.
Sure.
Let me see. We've got a sponsor. They, we, they, and them are all on the Tweaked Audio thing. So it's tweakedaudio.com. I do this for a living, folks, just so you know. Tweakedaudio.com. They sell headphones, and they sell decent headphones, and you will want to go and check them out. You can choose all kinds of different styles, all kinds of different colors, lots of options there for you. Lifetime warranty, free shipping, and if you use the code HARDPLACE, you get 33% off of your purchase. So be sure to check them out. Tweakedaudio.com. Nobody's bought headphones in a while, so I think they're getting tired of us talking about them.
Yeah, get on that, people.
Maybe it's that lifetime warranty. They don't need new headphones anymore, so just keep trading them in.
They don't have Tweaked.
Yes, exactly. So go buy some Tweaked Audio headphones.
Get tweakers.
We'd love it. All right, would you add it? You have a mystery artist.
Yes, I do. Mainly because if you've heard this already, this is not going to be nearly as much fun. But this is an artist who is a rock artist and has put out a bunch of very solid to great songs somewhere in the midst of that range to Christian rock radio. And it never feels like he gets the kind of recognition I think he probably should. And so he's trying something different to see how it goes. Anyway, I'm just going to leave it at that. But it's a new single that just came down that is his pop side. And I want to see what you think of it.
Something's got to change on my knees, cause my life was out of frame before I met you. Who knew all I needed was you? Let go and let you do what you do. Looking back, you changed my life for the better. Can't believe who I was before I met you. Before I met you, I was lost. Before I met you.
Well, the chat room is not in favor of adding that song, so I didn't recognize the voice.
So no guesses?
No.
That is Devin Williams.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. I know I'm going to start a mutiny, but I like it. It's a little repetitive, but I like it. And it does sound better in person than it does through a stream. Through a stream, it sounds kind of dinky. I will totally hand anybody that.
Kirk says of what? Devin Williams is of Devin Williams. That's his. We play 3 or 4 songs of his on Broken. And he's actually a really good rock artist, honestly. He does a really good job with his rock stuff. So we have no problem playing that. I don't know that we would add that song just because it's a bit more poppy than I would prefer.
Yeah.
But it's not old stuff. Kirk, there's a single that's out now that's current that we're spinning on Broken. So it's not that he's an artist from the past. He is a current Christian rock artist who, in my opinion, does a really good job with the rock side of things. For what we play, anyhow. But yeah, that one I wouldn't add it to Broken. But I don't know. If it came up on shuffle on my phone, I don't think I'd turn it off. I mean, yeah, it is a little repetitive, but I mean that's pop music, so you get what you pay for.
Right. Well, and my apologies to anybody who actually likes the new Nine Lashes record, but I thought it was a better attempt at going pop than the new Nine Lashes record.
Yeah. The biggest issue with the Nine Lashes record is them saying, well, this is going to be the new Nine Lashes sound, and we're going to create another new band to get back to the old Nine Lashes sound. Yeah. That's what I have an issue with Nine Lashes. Yeah. It's like, no, that's not how it works. If you want to change your sound, start a new band. Don't take the old band name and drag it through the mud and poopy diapers and expect fans to still like it. Go start a new band name that can get drugged through the mud.
And also let's be honest. Nine Lashes is a metal band name. That is it's just what it is.
Yes.
It was a heavier name than they were before, but now it's just ridiculous.
Exactly. Chris says he remembered news that he saw on Facebook today. Aaron Gillespie is going to be releasing a new, guessing solo album on Tooth and Nail coming in August. So we'll give you some more details on that.
I'm sorry, Chris. I'm happy for him. I hope it does well. I just don't care.
Yeah. Not a Gillespie fan?
Almost record? Totally on board. But his solo stuff,
Well, his solo stuff has been a little more praise and worship-y
Exactly.
So it'd be interesting to see if that's the direction that he takes this one too, or if it's, I don't know.
Although reworking of Under Oath and the Almost Step. Whoa.
Yeah, reworking. That's the word that causes consternation or constipation or a little of both.
Yeah, I care more now. Recorded and produced by Gillespie in his own studio in Salt Lake City, out of the Badlands, is comprised of reworked songs from Under Oath, the Almost, and 2 cover songs, and then 3 original tracks.
We'll have to hear it and see what it's like.
Anyway. Okay, well, here is a solo project that I originally wrote off that I shouldn't have, that I will give a stamp of endorsement for the people who are still desperate enough to still be listening to this and not having moved on to something else.
Okay.
I can't remember the freaking dude's name. He's a lead singer of Citizens and Saints, formerly just Citizens. I think it's like Zane.
Yeah.
Something. Another. It's quite good. All I had heard from it before, and something that we had played maybe a clip of on the show, was like an acoustic thing that he recorded in his car, and that's what I thought he was doing.
Okay.
I thought it was going to be like all acoustic-y, folksy stuff, but it actually sounds somewhere between like the Wallflowers and maybe like really old Matchbox 20 kind of stuff, kind of that bluesy folk rock pop kind of stuff. It's good. I like it. So anyway,
was he lonely at 3 a.m.?
I don't know. He might be.
Okay, I'll have to ask.
Also, have to ask if he feels like a man. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Push you around, and I will, and I will.
Or is he driving around with a one headlight? You know, that's another question that we can ask. Exactly. Actually, I miss that song. I like that song a lot.
Yeah, so it's a good record.
Yeah, most definitely. All right.
Now, did I give you a different? Would you add it?
No, that's the only one.
What?
I think so.
Too.
Was there? Oh, well, let me check the Dropbox. Oh, wait a minute. Did we do that one already?
Is it Wax Panel?
Yeah.
No.
Did
you guys already add it?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think we've ever done that one.
Okay.
I just added that today.
Huh.
To the Dropbox, anyway. I got it. Well, let me recount this story, and then if you don't want to do it,
I've got it. No, it's loaded now.
I got a Twitter direct, I got a Twitter like message from them, but it wasn't a direct message. It was like, "Hey, we've got this song. Anxious to hear what you think of it." And I'm like, it feels like we've already been introduced, but I have no clue who you guys are. So I was like, well, been down this road before, but sure, why not? And so I clicked on. I'm like, no, this is pretty good.
They've
and
submitted stuff.
So
I think we added a song of theirs.
Is it called Believer?
Possibly.
Because those are the 2 songs that they said, well, either one of these would be great as a single.
No, I'm talking like a couple of years ago, they submitted a song that I think we added, and it lasted a couple of months. This was before I was the main one doing the ads.
Oh, wow.
So
they've been around.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, so long story short, it is the secret track in this week's episode for those stations that will be airing the secret track. But I like it. They're an independent band. They're working on either a full length or an EP that they're supposed to release sometime soon. I was not expecting anything, basically because, number one, I hadn't heard of them before Twitter, and also because their music's good, their name is terrible.
Right.
And that's my opinion. But anyway. So, yeah, check it out. Wax Panel. And what's the song called again?
Dying Inside.
Dying Inside. There we go. That's a hard one. So that's only the first 30 seconds.
I was wondering if you put lyrics in. I was waiting for the lyrics to hit. I'm like, where are the lyrics?
Yeah, it's got kind of a long intro, but yeah. So I probably should have just pulled from the chorus, but I was trying to stick to our original rules, although I didn't do that with
the other song.
Yeah, with the other one. So I'm inconsistent.
No, I like the sound of that. That intro there would have made me want to listen to more to actually hear the lyric content to see if it was still worth actually playing. So, yeah, good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Anyway, cool.
Okay.
And Kirk is helping us out here. The guy who I was trying to think of his name earlier, who was the lead singer of Citizens and Saints. It's Zach Boland.
There you go. Yeah, Zine is the name of the guy from Fight the Fade. You may have been thinking of that, but they've got a new album coming out in a couple months.
Yes.
I'm excited. Very, very excited.
I'm curious.
All right. Well, I think that is going to do it for us today there, kids. We've run out of stuff to talk about, even though we never really talk about anything super important. But it's all good, you know? It's all good in the hood. Haha. Let's see if you... if you want to find out more about us, rockinahardplacepodcast.com. That's the website. We post all the shows there as well. Our Facebook is facebook.com/rockinahardplacepodcast. Paul's Twitter is at ChristianRock20. Mine is at CKUHNER. C Cooner. You can tweet us, and we'll ignore you just as much as we do everyone else.
Which is not at all.
That's right. We love it. We love it. All right, guys. We hope that you have a good week. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm Chris Cooner.
I'm Slightly Stupid.
And we'll see you next week.